Hi, everyone. Welcome to Lunch Bites. We're really excited to have you here, and we're really excited to have our guest, the 49ers EDU team, with us. We're going to be talking today about the intersection of STEAM and sports and the power of student engagement. If you haven't done so already, we'd love to know where you're calling in from. I'm seeing Butte County, San Jose, LA, San Francisco. Shout out to LA. We got the Dodgers winning. And shout out to San Francisco because we got the 49ers with us. So we're really excited to have you here. We're going to get started. And please make sure you're muted and assume best intentions. The slides have been dropped into the chat by our colleague, Jessica Siebert. Jessica Siebert will be moderating the chat for us. So if you have any questions, she'll be dropping some links. Please feel free to let us know if you have questions along the way, and Jessica will raise them up to the group. We want to kick things off. I know we had some people already do this reflection, but if you can take a look at these 4 images and share with us which is resonating with you today. I can tell you, I look at the ice skating picture and sometimes feel like we're on shaky ground. I always feel like I'm shaky ground when I'm on an ice skate. So that is sort of resonating with me, but I also love the running back, ready to take charge and go for it. So those are 2 that are resonating with me today. But would love to hear from you. Hi, Albert David from Diamond Bar. Hi, Jeff Selberg from Butte County. It's great to see everyone. Sacramento, Niners. So we're going to continue and keep moving along. We're really excited. Yesterday, some of you may have seen in your email, we've announced that we're hosting a California STEAM Symposium pre-conference on November 17th. If you register for the symposium, you'll gain access to the November 17th pre-conference. Jose Vilson and Darian Nguyen are our 2 keynote speakers for our pre-conference. We're really excited about this opportunity and hope you'll join us for it. Again, the main symposium is on December 11th through 13th, and everyone's invited. We hope to see you there. Big thank you to Chevron, who makes all of this possible. They've been our primary partner with the STEAM Symposium for many years since its inception, and they make webinars like this possible and free to everyone that's here. So really excited, and thank you to Chevron. Would love to know what you're doing with Lunch Bites, so please share with us on social media. And also share with the 49ers what you're doing as well at their 49ers community account on Twitter. Would love to hear, and use the hashtags LunchBites and CASteam20. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Karen, who's my co-host, and she's going to take us on in.
Welcome, everyone. It's really great to go through the gallery view and see everybody's names and faces, so welcome. Today, I'm really excited about this episode of our webinar. Again, we're going to be really looking at some innovative ways to engage students of all ages. And we're going to be having some conversations with our guests. You'll be getting a demonstration, and you are also going to be doing a hands-on activity. So I hope you're like me and have a bit of a messy desk, so you have a lot of things available right there at your fingertips for a hands-on activity. And also we're going to be sharing out some resources so that give you some things that you can be using in the coming days as you're engaging with students. So without further ado, I'm really excited to introduce our 49ers EDU team, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves, but if you will help me in welcoming them. And Jesse Lovejoy, I'm going to kick it off to you now.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you, Glennon, and hi, everyone. I am Jesse Lovejoy, Director of 49ers EDU and the 49ers Museum, and I'm also managing partner of EDU Academy, which is a consulting firm that we run out of 49ers organization that helps organizations build informal STEAM education programs that are connected to sports. Before I go any further, I want to say thank you again to Chevron, our longtime partner, supporter of our work, supporter of the conference, great partner with CDE Foundation. Hi, Anita, I know you're out there somewhere. Glad you could join us today. So with no further ado, I want to pass to Sophie to say hello as well.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sophie Navarro, Senior Manager with 49ers EDU. I've been working with the 49ers since 2014, and I'm a Bay Area native, so I'm very excited to talk to you all and show you what we got. Sarah?
Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Jin, one of the lead educators of 49ers EDU. Been with the team about 2 years and really excited for this, and excited just because as a San Francisco native, it's nice to see San Francisco 49ers do cool things.
Great. Thanks, Glenn. So yeah, 49ers EDU, I'm going to do this very quickly. We've been around since 2014. We have a number of things that we do that all derive from a curriculum we wrote ourselves that is Common Core and NGSS aligned, that takes the game of football in Levi Stadium and uses that as a platform to engage young people in STEAM learning. We have a field trip program that in a non-COVID time runs out of Levi Stadium, is completely free. We have a professional development program that we run annually. We have a series of grant programs we offer. We do a number of strategic partnerships and cool events and things throughout the year. Go to 49ers.com/edu. You can see the link in the bottom right there, and you can learn a lot more about everything that we do. And to give us a little bit more context around that, I'm going to hand it to Sophie, and she's going to walk us through an example of a piece of our work.
Awesome. So yeah, one of the amazing resources that we have is actually a 49ers digital playbook, which was its original form was a hard copy that students would get when they came to visit Levi Stadium as part of their field trip. And we were able to convert that to a digital form that works very interactively. If you can go ahead and click through the digital playbook, there's a link that that is going to be dropped in the chat as well. So today I'm just going to quickly focus on page 20 and 21. And there's about 33 pages of different activities. For this particular conversation, we're going to be focusing on engineering and the tech advancements, and just kind of give you some ideas on how you can use this playbook in your classroom or even with your kids at home. So this this playbook really has a dual purpose for a student or a parent to come on and show their students a playbook that they can interact with, or for a teacher to download a PDF and add to their Google Classroom. So Glennon, if you can go to page 20 for me.
Sure. Yeah. So just for everyone, and I'll walk you through how I'm getting there. This is the landing page of the interactive digital playbook, and Jessica Siebert should be dropping that in the chat for people who want to follow along. I've made this full screen so it's easier for folks to see. At the bottom here, there's a toggle of thumbnails. So like Sophie said, there's about 30 pages. We're going to hop over to page 20. So I'm just going to slide through and find page 20. And so I'm going to get here, and then I'll remove the toggle so that it's easier for everyone to see. We encourage you to do this on your own, but if you want to, you can also follow along and follow what I'm doing with Sophie here. So Sophie, you want to set this up? What are we doing here?
Yeah, so this is our page that really goes over the evolution of football equipment and through engineering. And if you can click right under one of the helmets, you can pick what year based off of the information below. And I also want to mention the fan experience. If you click that, it will pop up and there's another activity there. And before I go any further, I also wanted to say in the top right corner, there is a download button. So you can actually download individual pages, or on the original cover page, you can download the whole playbook. So that is perfect for you to upload on your Google Classroom, specifically because we don't want the kids to have to click more than 3 times to get to what content they need to activate during their lesson. So just a few ways that you can use this particular page. You can this is all tied to engineering. And middle school, I know that you go over ancient civilizations and the different technologies that happen throughout history. So you can definitely use this as a starter and opening conversation and asking students really to examine the differences and ask questions around all of the different types of helmets, or maybe a technology or item that they are very passionate about. An example that I use is obviously the PlayStation. So their new one just came out. It's very relevant to those that love to play video games, and ask them the differences between the last model and this one, and what are the upgrades and why someone would decide to change it and improve on that design. Also, just really examining the idea of invention and design and that iterative process. If you can click to page 21.
And before you go on, Sophie, I just wanted to mention, as I was reading through that text, how great it is that students have a chance to be able to read text in different ways and be able to take information in. And so I love the way, as a teacher, I could use this to, not just a narrative text, but to be able to read text in a table and interpret it and make decisions on it. I love the format.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of clicking through and guessing as to which year the helmets are, but there's really interactive descriptions, and you can then pick a year for a given helmet. And if you click the submit button, you'll get the correct version pops up on top. So it's a great, quick, interactive way, but it really does, if somebody's following along in this text down here, it really does encourage them to visualize what the text is saying.
Yeah, and this page is interactive as well. If you hover over each of the different steps in the engineering design process, you see its definition. And as we'll see in the slides, we've also gotten a close-up of that one and the 3 questions that are below. And really, these 2 pages can work together in terms of how technology has advanced throughout the years, and comparing it to whatever you're teaching in the classroom, whether that's an engineering lesson or a history lesson or science lesson as well. And then talking about the engineering and design process on all the steps. This particular model is 8 steps, and we're gonna go through that through the activity that Jesse's going to lead. But it's really a conversation starter and really a reflection piece for them to think about the things that they're doing as they're creating and as they're observing the world around them. And that's the great thing of comparing this or using football as a platform to really engage students, is it makes them think outside the box, outside of their classroom, and really asking them to compare it to things in their world and applying this. So we can click out of the PDF. And the next slide.
Yep, give me just 1 second to get
Of
back
course.
into present mode.
Yep, and so this is just a, those are the 3 questions if you couldn't see it clearly on the PDF, or if you do not have it open. And these are just questions regarding the actual process as they're going through whatever activity that you want them to do. You could work really with pre-K, it's designed for K-8, and you'll see up top it says 4-8, but we've also had high school classes really enjoy the playbook as different brain breaks or even discussion starters. And as you flip through the playbook, there's a bunch of different activities, but I will let Jesse take it from here.
Thank you, Soph. Excellent job. I hope everybody's getting a good sense for the kind of work that we do and what the digital playbook looks like. So now it's time to have a little bit of fun. We are going to take the next 4 minutes, and you are going to engage in a very, 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 very short version of something that we might do in our 4 classrooms inside of Levi Stadium. So I'd like to ask everybody to stop what you are doing, stand up out of your chair, and go and find anything that you can find to create and construct your own version of the goalpost that you see here. I'm setting a timer right now for 2 minutes. When you come back, I'm gonna ask Glennon to stop sharing screen so that we can pop up the big grid, and I'd love to see what people make. So on your mark, get set, go.
And while people are hunting around, I'm going to stop sharing the slides for a second. And I think Karen might be starting to build some things. So I'm going to spotlight her.
All right. You know what? I have to say, I had a bit of a head start because I knew what was coming. So don't feel bad if you don't have your things already together. But I have to say, I decided to use my glasses case for my glasses. I found some clips on my messy desk. I've got a couple of pens. So let's see if I can figure out how I'm going to do this. Iteration, I know is important. So, okay.
I love what I see. Jesse's got a few books in front of him. He's using.
Nice work, Karen. I like it. Bring it up a little bit so we can get it in frame there.
Here. Does that work? I'm trying. Maybe if I turn my background off.
Yeah, it might help a little bit to turn the background off for a minute.
I think I'll do that.
So for those of you who can hear me, at this point, you have 45 seconds. And in a normal engineering lesson that we would conduct, we would front load content. Kids would have to make a choice on their materials. They would actually draw a design. They would build a structure. They would be stress tested in some way. They would then reiterate or improve, present their findings, and do reflection and discussion, all based on a project. We have a lesson similar to this all around structural engineering about how buildings are built, how they withstand loads, and then kids actually construct one and bring it in and test it. So I'm gonna go ahead and give a 10-second countdown here. I know it wasn't long, but that's the point. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and that's time. That's time. All right. So what I would love is if Glennon, could you stop, or is there a way to where we could see everybody?
Yeah, I mean,
if not, it's okay. I would just love to get a good visual of
I think
everybody's.
So I think everybody would have to go into their own gallery view to see.
Okay.
But I can see quite a few people, and what I'll do is I'll pop through and spotlight a couple of different people.
That would be great. So what you can see here, yeah.
That filter with bananas. I love that.
Yeah, some bananas. I have 4 children's book: a Winnie the Pooh book, The Rooster Struts, Wonders of Nature, and At the Zoo. Karen's got some pens. Ryan, I think those pencils, I can't quite see. We've got, some straws and paper clips. Excellent. Maybe give me a couple.
Elaine's got some things going on there. I don't know if she used glue or not, or maybe
tape. Can you spotlight? Yes, Karen with like Legos and maybe a flute. I don't know, a recorder. Okay, more.
Nice.
I like that. Oh, I like the Niner Jack in the Box head on top for flair. Okay, so I hope you all enjoyed that. I know I certainly did. Glennon, could you move it to the next slide real quick for me, please?
Yeah, give me 1 second to get there.
Yep. So while he's doing that, as I mentioned, and Sophie talked about this, the engineering design process is probably the most concrete through line in our entire curriculum. And the idea of iterative education and problem solving as the foundation of a way to get kids to think about STEAM specific to our work. So here are 3 questions for you to think about as you kind of ponder what we just did. I'd love to see some answers pop into the chat to any of the questions. So how was the process in making the post? How did you think, what did you think about working through the playbook? And how do we take students' passions and interests and incorporate them more into engineering projects? And as you're typing, I just want to talk about that last piece, because, we know that sports is a very unique way to engage students, but so is art, so is gardening, so is video games, so is, any number of things that we know that kids are passionate about. So we are obviously going to advocate for the continued use of sport as the platform, but there may be a number of other things that are relevant to your kids that might be connected to their community or connected to their lives. So, I know you're all thinking about this, just our kind of reinforcement of the fact that sports is one way. There are definitely many others. I'm seeing some things pop into the chat here. I'm going to try and
Yeah, there's some great comments, about having it be different without team members because we're in isolation, about balancing the weight of the top bars and the front was difficult. Nothing like working under a budget and time pressure and keeping it real. So
Yeah.
lots of great fun comments coming in.
Yeah, thank you, Holly. I saw that, and there are definitely a lot of directions. I saw Van say something about time. I mean, clearly in class you'd have somewhere between 20 and 25 minutes, and everything from connects to building blocks to choose from. So the goal with this was just to have a little bit of fun, move our bodies, give you something tactile to work with, understanding that that helps us all kind of put things in context. What I'm going to do now is transition to my colleague Sarah, who is going to talk a little bit about, more specifically, about what we have created as we have pivoted all of our analog in-person work to digital because of COVID. So Sarah, why don't you go ahead and take it over if you don't mind.
Great, thank you. So like Sophie mentioned, we have our digital playbook, and all the pages in the playbook go through science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. So there's a variety of activities that you could do with the kids. On the top of each page, we'll have suggested grade levels of each page, but again, you can adapt any of those pages to any grade level, just adjusting it quite a bit. There's some fun activities in there, such as a scavenger hunt, a word search, scramble, stuff like that, just to give kids some brain breaks and just have fun with it. And stuff like that. So with our digital playbook, we launched a review series to go along with the pages to give students a little background information that could help them with the page, such as football physics, so any of the forces that are used in the game of football to move the ball or anything. So and then they'll go through the activity on the page, as well as having an extra activity for the kids to be able to do to extend their learning. And with each of our review series, we do have a 49ers employee in our organization that introduces each of those pages, and they will give an insight into how those topics help them in their work. So on this slide right here, you see Beth Atlas, which is our museum curators. So she goes over how she uses angles and shapes to design the museum that we have at Levi Stadium. And then because it is transformed, our digital playbook was transformed from our hard copy, we will have a playbook patrol. So if you would like to have those hard copies to send to your students, we are happy to be able to send you those hard copy books.
Thanks, Sarah. I think, to reiterate what she's saying and reinforce it, one of the things we've tried to do since 2014 is really be a resource, be helpful. And I know Sophie's going to come in a second and kind of lead us all in a discussion about how we can do that. And I want to, as we get into that, just kind of ground us in the idea that we understand and we very much respect the world that we're all living in terms of what COVID has done to how we educate our students and how we act as teachers and those who work in informal or formal education. So we very much respect the challenges that we're dealing with. Thank you very much, Sarah. Sophie, why don't you grab it from this point?
Sophie, you might be on mute.
I am. Thank you. So yeah, this is our open discussion piece. So not only do we want questions from you guys, but we are asking you some core questions regarding what kind of resources make the most sense for you as we start developing a new suite of activities and just interactive, whether that's videos or just the new digital virtual version of what can help you and aid you in your classrooms, and specific to the kind of challenges that you're facing. So how can we help you in programmatically and creating some of these resources for you, and what do you see are the gaps in what you're doing? And I know this is a question that we're all being asked. We're all adapting and we're all having different pieces that we're struggling with, whether that is getting kids to show up, turn on their cameras, or finding the right resources to really be able to hit the mark on the things that you're trying to teach in your classroom. So just wanted to open up with those questions to you. An example would be, we are currently also in the process of taking our digital playbook and making that in Spanish. So that should be available in the next couple of months. So that's a resource that we were gonna have out there for our dual language learners, and especially for those that have households that are more comfortable reading and speaking in Spanish. So love to hear from you guys.
Yeah, and I think, thank you for bringing up the Spanish stuff, Sophie. We're super excited about that. I know that Jess just dropped the survey in, so hopefully some of you are currently filling that out. There are some questions in there that we'll be using to kind of continue to put data together. One of the things that Sarah, Sophie, myself, and the other members of the EDU team have been talking about is, asynchronous learning or even synchronous learning. And is there a space for us to be a part of your classroom or your Zoom time in some way? So that would be something that we could think about. But really at this point, anything that you can put into the chat that can help us start to drive a dialogue a little further about either taking these resources and adapting them or coming up with new things completely that we aren't currently doing, we're open to all of it.
Thank you, Jesse. And audience, we'd love to hear from you in the chat if you have ideas, whether it's in the feedback survey or just straight in the chat. You're also, if you are so inclined, welcome to come off mute. We've got a couple of minutes for this discussion, and then we're going to close out. One question that's coming in is, are there virtual simulations available?
David, we actually do. David sounds like a plant, but I promise he's not. We do. We have in our program that we run at Levi Stadium, and we've created an interactive simulation for each of the STEAM categories. And one of them is connected to technology. One of us connected to environmental sustainability. So great question. Maybe we can think about making those available via our website. Definitely possible.
Sounds like a great opportunity. Other ideas are certainly welcome in the chat as we go along. And I will note that if you have questions more broadly the other way too, if you have questions about the resources, questions about anything that we did today, this is a great time to ask. And we're going to conclude right at noon, but we'll stay on the line for an extra 5 or 10 minutes to answer any questions. We've got something coming in from Jennifer Carr and Ryan Thompson. So would it be possible for to share your contact info?
I just put my email in the chat. I'm sure Sophie and Sarah will be willing to do the same thing.
And we'll add them to the slides as well.
Yep.
And Glennon, I know that this team has been really generous in offering some of their time if you wanted to let people know a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I see a question actually from Ryan that is, I think, speaking to that. So Ryan asked, how can we have teachers, departments contact you to be part of Zoom's classes? You've got Sarah, mine, and Sophie's email. I would say send all three of us a message and let's talk about that. We're very ready to be adaptable and supportive to whatever you need to be successful. So, I mean, it's just as simple as reaching out.
Yeah, and definitely looking at a model in where we can do that more actively, specific to what the need and our bandwidth is, because I know that the more individualized attention that we have to interact with your students in these cases is the best way for us to mimic the field trip experience and really have that outsider's view. Obviously, the students love their teachers, but anything new and exciting or different in these times is very much welcomed. So if that is, and I would love to hear from the rest of you if that is something that you're interested in, so that we can start ideating and making sure that we create a system and a structure that works best for all of you, or at least the collective. I saw another question around the measurements, I think from Albert. That was actually one of our lessons that we had to at the stadium, specifically to K through third. There's a page in our playbook that goes over measurements and actually lets you input the different measurements of prompted equipment. And we had players with their arm span, their height, and their hand, and had kids compare to that. So that's definitely something that we can look at in terms of like our simulations, bringing into the digital space.
Kathy, I see your question, and that answer is yes. We don't have high school level curriculum written out yet. However, we have done a series of adaptations, like that particular lesson you're suggesting there around field goal percentages and parabolas. I can visualize what that would look like already. I think it's a matter of just connecting and seeing how we could maybe be helpful to something that you're already teaching to. So the answer to there is, like, again, reach out and we can figure out how to support you.
Yeah, and as it relates to our high school information or content and curriculum, we've really focused on the career exploration pieces around different STEAM jobs within the sports world and how it relates to other industries.
I really
Ryan's
want to just
about PD. Sorry, Glenn, if you need to end it.
Go ahead, Jesse.
Ryan asked about PD, and we're not currently running our PD program the way we had normally constructed it. However, we could discuss that. I think it would probably be centered on kind of how to use our tools in classrooms as opposed to our normal modules, which are based on project-based learning, STEAM integration, and some of those things. But maybe there's a way to kind of see it hit in the middle.
Cool, thanks, Jesse.
Yeah, I just want to jump in and say thank you to the 49ers team. I'm going to close this out, but we're going to stick around and stay on the line if there's additional questions or other things that we want to discuss for a few minutes. So Jesse and the team sneak previewed this a little bit. If you register for the symposium by November 6th, next Friday, you'll be eligible to have a visit from the 49ers team to your Zoom classroom. So we'll get them to join you. So make sure you register for the symposium. We've dropped the feedback survey a handful of times, so please make sure to share there. We have a podcast also called Lunch Bites, so please check that out. And lastly, thank you to our amazing partner Chevron, and thank you to everyone that's here. We're going to hang out and answer any additional questions, and really appreciate everyone being here. And as we go into this transition of additional questions, if people want to come off mute to ask a question, that is certainly welcome. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we can have a more rich discussion without necessarily having to use the chat. But that's the end of the formal programming. We're here to answer questions and have a dialogue with you all.
Thanks, Glennon. Now I can see you all, which is great. Dave, I like the background. Appreciate that.
So are there any other additional questions that people have about the resources or about how to engage with the 49ers EDU team? I heard earlier mentioned, Jesse, that you all have physical hard copy books. Are you sending those out to schools these days, or how is that working?
Yeah, we are. And we're maybe not so creatively calling it the Playbook Patrol. We like alliteration around our building. But Sophie's shaking her head.
I give him a hard time with all of these titles that he comes up with.
It's very fair. It's very fair. But yes is the answer. So we have a mechanism to distribute what Sophie is holding to your class in, 30, 40, 50 of them. We're also sending them in the thousands to organizations where there's a need. So the best way to get to that is to contact us in the ways that we already shared. And also there will soon be a website posted on 49ers.com that will have an online portal where you can put in your information and make a formal request. Glennon, maybe we can find a way to share that link with everybody.
We'll put it in the slides. Yeah. I see people nodding their head. It seems like there's some excitement about maybe getting their hands on some of the playbooks. Kathy's got a big smile on her face. Bonnie's got a smile on her face. So great to see you.
Quick shout out to Piper and Chris. I see Chris up there in the corner. How's it going, man?
Well, are there any other questions that people have, ideas that they have about how 49ers EDU might be able to adapt and support you in this time? We're here to answer any questions for the next few minutes before we conclude.
Yeah, and also I'd like to invite you all to email us if those ideas do come later, even after you're taking the survey or you're going through a lesson or coming up against a problem within your classrooms. Feel free to just email us and kind of shoot an idea out to us, because I know sometimes it's hard to ideate on the spot, especially when it comes to things that are going to be practical and useful in your classrooms. So I invite you to message me, Jesse, or Sarah. We're all available to have these conversations. Again, we are just looking for as much feedback to be a resource to you all.
And, you know, one of the things we would absolutely adore is if you do put this stuff into practice, and we know that many teachers are, send us a picture, like, you know, tweet at us. If you tweet at 49ers community, I can guarantee you it's going to get reshared. It'll get recognized. So, you know, we're getting really good qualitative and quantitative feedback on the resources. Things seem to be going well, but it always warms our hearts when we see, you know, you doing what you do in your environment with your kids. That's why we do this work. So if you get a minute, you choose to use it, shoot us a picture or a tweet or something. We'll be very grateful.
Yeah, and then I also want to mention in that survey that the feedback survey that Glennon put out, there is an option to click in terms of continuing this conversation and more of a, I guess, advisory / beta test type of role, where when we do decide on what our next curriculum set or virtual experience is, that we're gonna really lean on those teachers that self-selected to be a part of that group, to get your feedback, to improve, to make sure what we're creating isn't in a vacuum and could be useful to the most amount of teachers possible.
Well, thank you, everyone. This has been a wonderful session. It's been a lot of fun. I had fun making my field goal and playing in the digital playbook. Really want to thank Jesse and Sophie and Sarah for guiding us through this wonderful session. They'll also be joining us at the STEAM Symposium and leading a breakout session or two there. And you can learn more about their programming and some of their partnerships that they've developed, which have been really innovative. And at this point, we're going to go ahead and conclude, but we hope everyone enjoys the rest of your day. Thank you again for joining us, and have a great rest of your week. We're almost to the end of the week. Take care, everyone.
Thank you,
All right,
everybody.
bye, everyone.
Thank
Thank
Sarah.
you.
Love
Go
you.
team.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.